Hello and welcome back to another episode of Game Chat. This is Brunner here. Today I have Elite with me. Unfortunately, Anthony couldn't be here, but show must continue. Show must go forward. So, Elite, how are you doing? This is the new year.
It is the
Everything
new
good so
year.
far?
Happy New Year, all you listeners and viewers, and Happy New Year, Brunner. Yeah, everything's
Hmm.
going good so far. I mean, we're day one of it. We only got, 364 more to go.
Yeah.
The countdown's on.
Yeah. Hopefully, this can be a good new year. Hopefully for everybody, including us in this recording. But I wanted to tell a story, and Elite's never heard the story. But I want to end off, end off 2022 with all the bad stuff. Hopefully, go into this year with some good stuff. But let me tell you the story of literally the worst 24 hours of my life. So this happened pretty recent. Like it was it was this month. No, I'm sorry, not this month. December of 2022, and um, like I was at work and I'm working night shift and we get to listen to music. And so I'm listening to this podcast, shout out the Sunny podcast, but they were just telling this like crazy like diarrhea story. And then and then I'm like, oh man, that's so crazy. And then I come home, so I get off at midnight. So I come home around 12:25, 12:30. And I have my dogs locked. We kind of technically have like a third floor, but like not really. But anyway, so we have them fenced in this downstairs area where like if we're gone for a long time, and if they have an accident, then it's tiled that they have an accident
Right.
on. So I come home and and when I come home, I take my dogs out, start like decompressing and and then so I take my dogs out, and in the corner, I see that one of my dogs, my littlest one, right over here, she's like 12 years old. She diarrheaed
Ugh.
on the floor,
Oh.
and then so I'm like, oh my god. And then so I'm like, okay, whatever, just clean it up. So while they're outside, I go and try to clean it up, but it was like bad. Like the consistency of her feces was like chocolate pudding.
Oh, dude, I'm going to get sick.
So I cleaned it up, and that takes me like 20 minutes just to clean it up. And then I notice that she has poo stuck on her tail and her butt. Like it was messy. So I'm like, I don't have time. I'm like, I'm like, I'm not going to cut it. I'm like, I'm just gonna have to give her a bath. So me and her hop in the shower at like 12:50 in the morning,
Oh, my God.
and then so I give her a bath. We come out, she's all clean and everything, and then so I have it, watch some TV, go to sleep, and then my mom's like, "Oh, you know," she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna. Do you want Five Guys?" Or like, "I'm gonna bring Five Guys home," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, of course." And so I had the Five Guys, it was pretty good. And then I go to work, and then my stomach is starting to feel a little bit upset.
Uh-oh.
And so apparently one of the Five Guys like conspired against me and decided to poison me.
It's Frank. He's been diarrhea poisoned.
Diarrhea poison.
His words, not mine.
And I like just my stomach's all messed up, like super bad. And then like I threw up. I threw up at work, and then I diarrheaed. Like it was just bad. And then like I'm sitting there at work, and then like my room usually gets hot, like the office room that we're usually in.
Yeah.
And then so I'm like just sitting there like burning up. And then I'm like, I tell my coworker, I'm like, is it hot in here? He's like, yeah, it's a little hot in here. So I turn on the AC, and like even the AC like doesn't do the trick. And I'm like burning up, and I'm like, I think I might have a fever.
Dude, you got
And
food
like
poisoning.
And then like my stomach, like that whole time was hurting. And then my mom had a cold too, and she gave that cold to me. And then so like I'm like, and then like, and this whole time my supervisor comes in and he's sitting like right behind me. He has to use one of the computers. And then so he's like sitting right behind me. And then so like I'm trying not to cough because like I'm like doing small coughs because I don't want anybody to think I have like COVID or anything.
Yeah.
And like so I'm like just like baby coughing. And then but like my stomach is like in so much pain. Like I could barely even move. Like I had to lift this box and like I could barely even lift it because like my stomach was like so bad. And then I'm like, just make it to lunch, just make it to lunch. And like we'll go from there. And then I make it to lunch, I'm texting Anthony and then like we're just chatting. And also just another thing I like to do at my work is when I go to work, we don't have like an actual parking lot because our office is small. So sometimes we have to park on the street. And then so I'm the last one. Like I park at the very front because when it's time to leave, I like start the car, put my seatbelt on, and I go. Like a lot of people, like they like get settled in, they put their music on, they do whatever, they check themselves out in the mirror. But I like go. I'm like they're not paying me here to be here the second longer, so I'm like I'm gone. And then so I'm chatting with Anthony, and then this girl, like straight up, like during my lunch break, and I'm sitting in my car, she parks in front of me. She pulls up and then like starts backing up like super, super close. And she gives me like maybe like 2.5 feet of like space. And I'm like, I can't even like drive forward. Cause like when I parked, I left the girl behind me plenty of space, like enough space where like she doesn't have to back up and then like take off. No, she can just turn the wheel and then keep going. But I'm like I couldn't like leave. I'm like, oh my God. And then so I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'm gonna stay, because cash rules everything. I'm like, I need the paper. I'm like, I'm gonna stay in the office. So I survived the whole day and I'm like just burning up and like I had a sweater on because it was cold that night and I took my sweater off and I'm just like dying. And then I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go once work ended, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go and like just get whatever's in me out because for my
Oh,
ride home. And then so I do that, and it like because we have our own in my office, we have like our own bathroom. So I'm like, no, it's just gonna be me in here. So like nobody's gonna come in here. I'm just gonna so nobody will hear me. And so like I do that, and then I'm like, okay, like clock out, and then the girl who parked behind me is still there after I've done everything. After I've flushed my system, I'm like, the girl's still there parked in front of me. I'm like, oh my God.
oh my gosh.
And then so I get home, literally like don't eat, like my stomach, I'm so like I'm in pain, like, and then like I don't even change, I just like collapse on my bed and then like fall asleep. Like it was that bad. And then I had to call out work. I missed 2 days of work.
Wow.
And
You're that
yeah,
sick?
it was like that bad.
Wow.
And then for those you wondering, I took a COVID test because we had a spare at home COVID test, came back negative. So it wasn't COVID, it was just
Just
a
sick.
flu type thing.
Yeah, it's going around. I was sick last week, and
Yeah.
there's so like so Anna was in school one day, and she was saying to me, I guess half their school was out with the flu. Like there was like 8 kids in the classroom one day, and it was like because everybody's got this flu, and it's like so we get this because I mean we're in cold weather. I mean compared to you guys, I mean very cold weather. So now people aren't really doing a lot outdoors unless they're skiing or whatever. So it's been very cold, and people the COVID's up again, flu's up. There's this other thing that's like respiratory thing going around, and that's crazy, man. That sucks, dude. I can't do it.
Yeah,
I
but
can't use a public bathroom. I can't do it.
y- y-
I can't
yeah,
do it.
I don't like it either. Like if I can't hold it in, I'm like I used to be really good about that like in school like my body would know you ain't using it. Like literally when I got home, like my body would turn on and be like, okay, go. My public school bathroom was like terrible. Um, I remember like Josh, friend of the show, he said it before, but like multiple times, like um at at our high school, like they would like the urinals, like they wouldn't put water in the urinals, or like the water wouldn't run. And if you don't know, like there's salt in urine, and they would like break the pipes,
Oh,
and like that happened like multiple times where like I'm like that they like that issue happened. And then I'm like, how am I supposed, and then I'm like, okay, I'm like, if I need to go like to the bathroom, I'm like, I have 5 minutes to like find like during like whatever, like when a class period would end, and then you would have like 5 minutes to get to your next
oh,
class.
fudge that, man.
And then I'm like, I'm supposed to find a bathroom, use the bathroom, and then go to my next class within 5 minutes. I'm like, no, I don't
It's
think
gonna
so.
give you stomach issues, man. You gotta like take your time. Let it, you know, it, it's
And
crazy.
then the teachers would, would get upset. They're like, oh, why didn't you go during your whatever your
It's
break?
5 minutes.
And
We
then
don't have a whole
yeah, and
period
then
like
I'm
you
like,
do.
no, yeah, I'm like, not only is it 5 minutes, I'm like, our bathrooms are disgusting. And like I remember in the like I mean there'd be those memes where like in the like public school bathroom, like doors would be missing like to the stalls, and
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like I ain't
So
I'm
that's
like
how it was
I
in my
yeah,
high school. Like there used to be fights and shit in there, so they just took the
yeah.
doors off the fucking stalls. So if you had to drop a deuce, you're like somebody walks by, you're like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And it was like, I mean, not that I ever did that, but it just kind of like it's kind of like crazy. Is like I don't know, it blows my mind, man. Like the shit that they put you through, it's like almost like jail has better probably setups than we do in public schools. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that about salt though, because I knew a friend of mine was a plumber one time, and he said the worst job he ever had to do was a urinal, like basically a urinal filled up with urine salt, and they had to flush the pipe because it was backing up, and the only way you could flush it is basically they had to run like massive hot water down the pipe, and it just the smell. He said it was so disgustingly nasty. But
Mhm.
I never knew until that moment that there was salt in urine.
Yeah.
He said that was the worst
And
job he
yeah,
ever had to
because
do.
like I wouldn't like I didn't know that too. Josh is the one that told me, because I remember um like I had a class where like the bathrooms was in the same hallway, and like the halls would just smell because like the pipes would break.
Oh,
Mm,
oh, that's
just
disgusting. That is
yeah,
disgusting.
I hated that school. I got out for a reason.
Jesus. So what are you been playing on the Xbox? Anything?
Yeah, I've been playing surprisingly. I don't know if we said it on this podcast or maybe a lost episode, but I've been playing Gotham Knights.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I think we talked about it like a long time ago, but I've been enjoying it. Um my only complaints, I have like a couple of complaints. Oh, Chargers just went awesome. But my complaint number one is that the game is locked at 30 FPS. So sometimes like I'll have issues like when I start dropping frames, like it's bad, like it's super bad.
Hmm.
And like me and Josh have, because it's me and Josh have been doing co-op,
Yeah.
and co-op is very fun. If you get a friend, super fun. And like there's some missions where I'm like, how would you even be able to do this like by yourself?
Well, that's why I
And
stopped
then
playing. There was a mission I got to that was just incredibly hard, and I was like,
mhm,
so I stopped playing it.
mhm, yeah. And then another thing too, like the frame drops. Sometimes like the dialogue is bad. Like for whatever reason, like they hate Robin, like the character Robin himself, because they just make him say like the dumbest things, and he'll be like, "Oh, oh, I mean, I didn't mean that." Of course, it's like, and I'm like, which is dumb. And then, me and Josh, we also played on like hard mode, because like, but it's not like the moves are so well. I don't know because I haven't played on easy mode, but like sometimes like one punch will just like do like so much damage, and I'm like it's just one punch. I'm like if like the enemies were a little harder, then I'm like they have like their own move set, but I'm like no, they have the same move set. They all have like exact same move set.
Hmm.
Like I don't want to compare it to Arkham, but like um Arkham, like they would have like these guys who would like have wield knives, and then they had like they wouldn't just hit you one time; they would hit you one, two, three. So you knew I have to dodge that guy 3 times.
Right.
But I mean, like it. And then another thing that I don't like about it is like doing the same missions over and over again, like the crimes in the city. It's like, oh, there's this data transfer. You have to stop the data transfer. It's like, okay, like I'll do that, and then like I go to another part of the city and get rid of the crime, and it'll be the same thing. It's like, oh, stop the data transfer again, and then I'm like, okay, but like it kind of makes it like not like replayable, but like I like upgrading my people. Um, I like doing the challenges.
Yeah.
The story's been interesting so far. Like I thought the game was gonna because I think we were all upset that it didn't have 4-player co-op campaign,
Right.
but they are gonna do a 4-player um like no its own thing,
Well, that'd be
like
cool.
its own challenge. Um but we were upset. I'm like, you have these 4 people, and I'm like, let us all 4 be out. But I mean, that's my rant on Gotham Knights. Like I think I would give it like a 6.7 out of 10, especially if you're selling it at a 69.99 price value
Yeah.
and having the game locked at 30 FPS.
Well, I've been playing a game, and I thought it was like the coolest idea. It's been out for a long time, and I just didn't play it. And I happened to see that I owned it in the PlayStation Store, so I'm like, oh, I'm going to download this and play this. Do you remember how we liked Far Cry 5 a real lot?
Yeah.
So they did like a DLC, another game of it called New Dawn. Did you ever play that?
Mhm. I'm familiar with it.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to check it out. And so the concept is the lead character is named Carmina, and Carmina was born the day John Seed dropped the nuclear weapon. Carmina's parents are Kim and Nick Rye. Do you remember the mission you had to do where you had to like get Kim to the veterinarian and deliver the baby? Well, that was
Yeah.
Carmina. And so Nick Rye's in it. He's just older now. Carmina's now like 22 years old. So Nick's like 22 years older. Kim's like 22 years older. They have Herc in it. Remember Herc, the crazy guy? And then they had the guy Sharky. So a lot of the same characters. But what was really cool about it was they had the same map. You're back in Hope County, but everything's been like nuclearified. So it's kind of looks like Fallout kind of in a way, but then they have like all these crazy flowers and stuff that have grown because like everything, the radiation's kind of cleared. And like, so now the deer are mutated and like the moose are mutated and stuff. But it's cool because like you'll be somewhere and you kind of like recognize, like I had to do a mission in the silo where I had to go down to that silo that was John Seed's brothers. The mission, remember, he had to escape it from. Well, I had to go back down in there, and so there was still like the writing on the walls and stuff from the sinners and everything. And it was kind of a different angle on the same game, and I thought it was kind of a neat idea. And I was thinking to myself, because you know how I am, it always comes back to Days Gone. I was like, that's what they could do with Days Gone, is they could just kind of do like 15 years later. Where are these people? You know what I'm saying? And I just thought it was kind of a neat little take that you probably would enjoy it if you played it. It's kind of like the first introduction of some Far Cry 6 though. Like they don't have like guns. Like you have to make weird guns, like a saw gun, like from salvaging stuff. But it was kind of interesting. So I've been playing that, and then been playing 2K. I got my guy up on my PlayStation 2K guys up to a 96 overall, fully badged. Run the shit out of that. Yeah, but that's pretty much about it.
Yeah. You mentioned 2K. I gave up on the whole my player because I'm like I put in like so much hours, so much VC. I'm like I just for another one to come out. I'm like what I just do is I do the franchise mode,
Yeah.
and what I like what they've done is like they'll do like now they've added scenarios for like I know like they did one for the 90s like you like if you start it you play the season before Michael Jordan enters the draft.
Yes.
So like you can
Jack
do
did that.
whatever and then like, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But my only complaint about that is that they didn't do the year of the draft where it was Kobe's draft, where it was like Kobe, Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, was it Peja Stojakovic? I think Steve Nash was in that draft. I'm like, that's like like 10, 15 Hall of Famers in that draft, like in the first round. And I'm like, you're not including it in your scenarios. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny is that so I've kind of gone into this year. They made it incredibly hard in my career, like when you're out in the park or wherever, to do like a simple layup because they last year they felt like it was too easy just hitting a button. So now it's like really hard. Um, so what it did was it kind of created me at times to just kind of go do different. You know what I'm saying? And I started playing like their version of Ultimate Team. So you know, like on Madden, you have Ultimate Team, and you could put like anybody in your team. They have it's called My Team in 2K. So I started playing that, and that's kind of cool. And then what I'd love to do is I was talking to a couple of guys I play with that is kind of like what you and Josh and Anthony do. I would think it'd be so cool if we could get like 6 or 7 of us and everybody get a team and play out a season. You know what I'm saying? To play against each other and whatever, and then kind of see where everybody ends up. It's but I too am kind of that. I don't play park at all anymore. I do rec just when it's like when I have 4 or 5 friends on, and it's more of we're just shooting the shit, playing a game. But the reality of it is, I don't really. It's so funny because I have it on both systems. So I have it on the Xbox Series X. So I have the next gen on that, and then I have the current gen. They're fucking ripping people off on that current gen.
Yeah.
They're total a rip off. They get nothing. It's crap compared to what the next gen has. They're putting all of it into the next gen. And let's be perfectly honest. If I could just walk in a store right now and buy a PlayStation 5, I would have a PlayStation 5. 3 years after they've come out, you still can't even get these goddamn things. They've had to change the chipset and everything, and they still are not in production. Like, I almost had an opportunity at Christmas time to get one. And I was just saying to a friend of mine on PlayStation, I'm like, I refuse to pay $800 for something that's a $500 rig. I refuse to do it.
Mhm.
Well, my PlayStation 4 works perfectly fine. But I think it's bullshit. They're making me pay extra for these next gen games. Because like Call of Duty just went on sale for Christmas. So I bought like the $25 version. Well, it's really $30 because you had to pay extra for the next gen. I can't get the next gen. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same with the 2K. You're paying $10 extra for these games, and you can't even get the systems.
You brought up a great point about next gen, and we're gonna have like a film edit come out or video game edit. But like, I just don't get because I was also listening to shout out the official podcast. We're big fans over here, but and they were talking about that. It's like why buy these games now? These like next like these games that are coming out because it's like okay, I'm like if we're gonna spend an extra $10, we want the game to be finished.
Yeah.
And like all these games are coming out, they're not finished, they're not polished. And I think his name is Andrew on the podcast. He was talking about he bought Shadow of War, and if you don't remember, and for the people watching or listening, if you don't remember or don't know about the game Shadow of War, it came out with this whole like loot box system, and it was almost like pay to win. And then like everybody like hated on it because they're like the first game was like super good, and it's like now you're doing this and like you're ruining it. And then like a year later, they got rid of it. They put it out like the game mechanic, and like you can play it as a normal game. And Andrew was talking about like how he loves the game so much, and he waited a year, or well, it's not been a year. I mean, it's been more than a year, but he said he waited, and then it went on sale, and like for like almost half what they were asking for, or maybe even more. And then he's like, and he bought it, and then he enjoys the game because now the game is patched. Because I think they also said it had a rough launch,
Yeah, yeah.
like it was very buggy at
Well,
launch.
that's exactly what they're doing with these games. Especially the ones with big servers like Call of Duty, 2K. I mean, 2K first came out this year. Do you remember? I don't know. Did you buy a day it came out? You waited, right?
Yeah, I waited.
So I had a day it came out. I couldn't play. Couldn't play. The servers were shit. They would be on and off, and you go make it a 5-minute run in, and then you just get like locked out of servers. And then the other thing that like annoys me with games is where I'm kind of going at with games is what I find is I'm going back to old games because I like the stories. And I think the thing is that you and I are very similar in the fact of I like story-based games. I like a game where it has like a mode to it where you kind of like where I can just kind of put on my headset and I could play like Far Cry. I think personally, I think Far Cry 5 was the best one. Some people say 3. You know, nobody says 6. And but literally, I could sit and play it for 6-7 hours straight because it's like watching a movie that you're kind of doing. That's how I felt about Ghost of Tsushima. That's how I felt about Days Gone. Detroit Becomes Human. Yada yada yada. Heavy Rain, and that to me is the type of game I like to play. And I feel like a lot of companies are getting away from that. And what they're doing now is they're just going to, I don't want to see another battle royale game. Don't want to see another one. Okay.
Mhm.
Everybody's trying to cash in on what Fortnite did and change their
Yeah,
mod
and
to
Battle
be that.
Pass.
Yeah, exactly. And then you had that game. What was that game that we used to play? It was a free game. Brawlhalla. Remember that?
Yeah.
Now everybody has a version. There's a bunch of games coming out that basically are Brawlhalla, but they use like characters that you're paying for, like these. Oh, well, I can be a DC character or whatever, and it's the same kind of motion, same kind of movement, same kind of. It's. I'm really getting sick and tired of gaming companies being lame, and I think it sucks when I made that reference earlier about Days Gone. It sucks that they went off to a different path because they had a unique product. They had a really good apocalyptic zombie game, and was how cool was it? You got to drive a motorcycle too, which is even cooler. And it was a good story, good animation. Um, but it's I don't understand. I don't understand it. Like it's the games, but I guess the dollar bill decides is like you sit and look at a game. Why is Warzone so popular? Well, it's free. Let's be honest. They're making their money up in people buying, you know, stuff for it. But just like Fortnite, that's the Fortnite model, right? And PUBG model. Remember when PUBG first came out? I thought that was revolutionary when the three of us used to play PUBG. That was a great battle royal. But it just I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where gaming goes because I'm kind of it's weird because like Macintosh. It's kind of funny we were talking about Macs earlier. Shouldn't Macintosh is getting into gaming now? They're making it where their GPUs can handle great gaming, and they're actually like dipping their toe, and that's never been a Mac thing. And it's kind of like, huh? I don't know. It's interesting, but
But I think the move right now for new games just to like wait till they're on sale, and like all the day one
oh
bugs have been
yeah,
fixed.
and it's
Because that's how I got Gotham Knights. Like it came out, I had my reservations about it, and then I'm like, because I love the Arkham game
you
series.
did.
Like I used to when I was a kid, like I would play like Arkham and Arkham City like for hours and hours and hours. It would last me like months, and then um like so sad like when Night finished, and I'm like, oh, are they gonna make another one? They can make another one. And then they're like, oh, they're gonna do Gotham Knights now, not the same universe, but it's the Bat family. And I'm like, well, I like Nightwing, I like Robin, I like Batgirl, I like Red Hood. Um, and but like again, like people were like still like iffy about it. They were like, it's kind of good, but it's not, because again, we fell for the Avengers like ruined superhero video games. Can we talk about that?
Oh,
How like we just got burned on Avengers hard, and the Avengers was so bad. They're not making a Guardians of the Galaxy video game sequel, which I played. It's a really good game. I think it's still on Game Pass. Really good game, really fun game. Like highly recommend you should check it out. But like it like just we got burned on Avengers, and then
isn't it
that's
ironic?
what.
Isn't it ironic that DC kicks ass in games and Marvel sucks
Yeah,
in games when it's opposite
yeah,
in the movies?
yeah,
It's ironic. But sorry, I just
yeah,
thought of that.
yeah. The only, like again like Spider-Man is the only good Marvel game, but that's it.
But that's a
And
Sony
like
game.
yeah, and then but like it's been like years since like Spider-Man came out, because it was like I think it came out like
Well, they just came out
when
with
did it come
Miles
out? Because it was on
Morales.
the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, they just came out with Miles Morales. So have you played that one yet?
No.
And I mean, I haven't either. I own it, but it's funny because I thought it just there's years ago they had a really good Marvel game. They had the X-Men game. That was I forget. I think it was on the PlayStation or was it on the Nintendo? One of the two. And that was a pretty cool game. But I thought the Arkham series was phenomenal, with the exception of that one level where I had to chase the Joker with the Batmobile. Batmobile does not drive like it's supposed to, man. That thing was like all over the road. And his Batmobile was like that. It was so big. Remember how big the damn car was? That was funny. But
Uh Spider-Man came out in 2018, and then Miles Morales came out in 2020 again, like gonna be 3,
wow, really
well
that
2
long
years,
ago?
technically 3.
Wow,
Yeah, but
okay.
and then the game too, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, it was a little short, like we wanted more out of it." But again, like and then and then like Marvel decides to make a game about their icons, Cap, Iron Man, Hulk,
It was such a
Thor,
bad
and the
game.
game just
Well, the
it was
problem
just
with it
bad.
was the biggest problem with the Avengers is me and Josh used to play that a lot. And it was like this, like you said earlier, it's the same screens over and over and over and over. And like you'd get like one of your guys, like I think it was Thor that I used to always use. And he was like at level 200 and something. He was just it's like some phenomenal. Literally, I could just go in there on any level and just dominate. And it was kind of like stupid and it just got boring. It just got super boring. Where Arkham was a story, and the cool thing they did with Arkham, if I'm not mistaken, isn't wasn't Mark Hamill the voice for the Joker on them,
All of them, yeah.
and then they went and get Kevin Conroy for Batman, who did the Batman on the animated series, and I think they used most of the characters from the animated series, not all of them, because I know they used a different Two Face. Um,
Mhm.
on them. And I thought that was kind of cool because it was really like a transition from television to the game. You know what I'm saying? And that was pretty cool. I thought Arkham was a really good series. And it's gonna make me think Gotham Knights. But what I learned this year is it really came the aha moment. I'm never buying a game again in October. Like the October
Yeah,
releases.
wait 2 months.
I'm waiting two
Mhm.
months and I'm gonna get it for half off at Christmas time. They always have that holiday Christmas special where I ended up getting this year I bought, what did I end up buying? I bought like 4 or 5 games this year for less than $100, all four. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And they were like games that I kind of was on the fence about. The next big game that I'm interested in that hopefully will bring you back to PlayStation is in March, because we're still sharing, so you should be able to get it because I pre-ordered it. Is Sons of the Forest. Um, what? You laugh? You don't think you'll play it?
I like the Forest, but you like got heavily into that game. Like I couldn't get to the level where you're at.
I
But
love that game.
I did like you're like, oh brother, there's a glitch, and we'd play with our friend Sean. And then like we like the log glitch, or like we'd
Yeah.
spam, we're like drop it, pick it up, drop it, pick it up, and then like 10 more logs would pop up.
Yeah. Dude, you wouldn't believe the shit that I still have built on that thing. I got like whole cities. And it was like, I don't know. It's like for some reason I really like that game. And it was like a cool, again, it was outside the box kind of game. Whoever would have thought of something like that? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like in your world of zombies, etc. So everything's so the same now. And I think that's one of the reasons I like the Forest. Same reason I like Detroit Becomes Human. And the same reason I liked Heavy Rain. Every one of those games that he didn't do the Forest, but you know what I'm saying? All those, I like those games where somebody thinks outside the box and it's different,
Mhm.
if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, I'm kind of all set with, like, yeah, it's cool. Resident Evil series is cool, but we've seen it all. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget. Like, I was sitting thinking about this, and I was trying to say this to Jack. Resident Evil 2 came out. I don't know what year that is, but you can look it up. It was probably 90 something. And I remember playing Resident Evil 2 in an apartment at like 2 o'clock in the morning, pitch dark. All you have is the TV's light. And it was the first time I ever saw liquor. And he snuck up behind me. It scared the friggin' bejesus out of me. Like literally had a jump scare. I love that feeling from a video game. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, but now that's the expectation in Resident Evil. It's kind of like the first time. Did you ever hear the Silent Hill franchise? It kind of was the competitor to Resident Evil, and they kind of had that.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
They had that kind of motif. It was very scary. Like you just be like playing, and you might hear like this girl like crying in the background, like just freaky. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're playing it at nighttime. And I don't know. I'm still waiting for somebody to come up with this 2 games. You fell in love with The Evil Dead. Like you're into that world, man. And it's like, and me and Anthony are like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but we all did at one point, as much as the shittiness and the glitchiness of it, at one point we all really enjoyed Friday the 13th. And I'm waiting for somebody to come up with something like The Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, but work really good and like seamless and good quality game, especially if you could have it like live actors almost. How cool would that be? Like, I don't know, but maybe it's hard. Maybe I don't know. I'm not a video game creator. Maybe it's harder than I think it would be to make one, but that's my goal.
Also, Resident Evil 2 came out January 1998.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was late 90s. It was, yeah, that was a game changer. Dude, that's the same year. I believe that's the same year, if I'm not mistaken, as Tomb Raider came out, or the first Tomb Raider. And that was another one. Changed the world. Tomb Raider changed the world, man. Lara Croft changed the world.
Tomb Raider came out 96.
Yeah. So
2 years before. But anyway, so I think that, so like, again, like just wait for the game.
Wait for the
like
game.
If you want to get a game, but you still have, you're on the fence about it, just wait till it goes on sale.
70% off.
Because again, I got Gotham Knights. I got the deluxe edition. I think the deluxe edition's like $79.99 or $89.99, and I paid like $35 for it on sale.
And what'd you get with that? Like a couple extra skins and
yeah, just skins.
Yeah.
Just skins. And that's it. Like, again, I feel like there should have been more DLCs, but it is what it is. I still enjoy the game. I've gotten my $35 worth.
And that's how I think the thing is, it all comes down to me, is like when I see these games on sale, even if it's kind of a crappy game, you'll be like, yeah, it's worth $35. You know what I'm saying? Or it's worth 20. Dude, I literally just saw a game that we got. Jack just got a game for $7. There was something he wanted. It was an older game, and he got it for $7 through this holiday special sale. And I'm like, You can never complain about a $7 game. That's a cost of a friggin' burger at Five Guys that gives you diarrhea. So, see that full circle? See how it came right back around?
We'll see. All right, but should we end it then?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Also, wait, before we go, Ali, well, we already covered what we've been playing, but Ali, have you been watching anything recently on TV? Any shows?
Yeah.
Been playing anything else?
I have been watching
Anything you
show.
want to shout out?
I've been watching Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Yeah. There's actually
Is that
Yellowstone.
Is that the Harrison Ford thing?
Well, that's one of them. So I'm watching all three. It started out with a show called Yellowstone. It's been around for a couple of years, and Karen's kept bugging me. Karen's my wife, and she kept bugging me like, "Oh, you really like this? You really like this?" And it has Kevin Costner in it, and it's about a family in Montana that's a big cattle ranching family. And then they did this other one called 1883, which is the first family when they went to Montana. Now it's 1923, which is Harrison Ford. He's the second generation, so I wouldn't be surprised if there'll be like a 1953. And it's kind of the whole bringing it full circle. That's pretty cool. I've been watching another show called Tulsa King, which is Sylvester Stallone plays like this mob boss that moved to Tulsa. It's kind of interesting. Fills my time. Yeah, and that's that's pretty much about what I've been watching. Been watching a lot of YouTube documentaries on YouTube, but just and Linus had a new cool tech tip out. I don't know if you watched that tech tip, but maybe I was watching that.
But so what I want to promote is, again, can't say thank you enough to The Boys, the TV show. We made like 2 edits on the YouTube and on the social. And because of that, like we have like those 2 Homelander, The Boys edits, we have like 60,000 views on the channel. Almost 70. So, and I think, and it gave us like almost 80 subscribers.
Huh.
So shout out The Boys on Amazon. Go check it out if you haven't seen it.
Is that, and do you like, is that, that's the one about superheroes on Amazon, yes?
Yeah. For those you don't know, like it's based on a comic series, the independent comic series, and they took like inspiration from like Watchmen, like Alan Moore's Watchmen, like, but the show like does stuff differently from the comics, and like even like people who like the comics, they're like the show's better than the comics. So, and I like what they've done too, because I've been curious, so we're like watch YouTube videos, and then they're like, well, they're like, this is how the character is in the comics, but this is how it is in the show, and I'm like, I think the show version is much better. But so check it out. That's what I want to promote.
My brother-in-law told me a long time ago to check that out, and I have not. I will check it out. I'll put it on. I think it's just sitting in my watch list, and it's just one of the things that I. What's funny is we pay these subscriptions. You got me on this tangent. You pay these subscriptions, and then I spend an hour and a half flicking through, looking at trailers, and never watching anything because it's just too much. But so.
Oh, hold on. I want to say this because I'm upset. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'll pull it up in the episode edit. But can Netflix stop releasing these shitty movie and TV shows and give us another season of Mindhunter?
Yes.
Please?
What the flip? Dude, you
'cause,
left me hanging.
okay.
They left me hanging.
Because I got upset. A long time ago, I put it in our group chat. They made a Cowboy Bebop anime adaptation, a live action one. They did it so bad, and they spent so much money on it, and they canceled it within like the first 2 weeks of it being out. And then like they made another show recently about like Blockbuster, like a sitcom about employees at the Blockbuster. They canceled it, and I'm like, give us
Mindhunter was one of the most successful shows on there, and it was like, and now it's been almost too long. You know what I'm saying? They left us hanging. They just introduced the BTK killer, and now what's going on?
Yeah, and then that dude came home and like his wife left him.
Yeah.
Remember that?
And the kid was like, the kid was off the rails. Remember this kid was like involved in like killing a baby or something? What the?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, what is going on? And he comes home and then there's nobody there. And then like the show just ends.
It is what it is.
Right.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye, y'all.